Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
You are listening to the Brilliance Business Show. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Conversations with leading experts in business. And today I have an incredible guest, Charlie Regis. Our topic today is Build the Best Apps. Charlie Regis is co-founder and head of sales for Styliff Tech. Charlie, welcome to the Brilliance Business Show.
Mark, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here. Before we get started, I'm just going to make a legal disclaimer that Charlie is not offering legal advice or legal assistance. So let's get started with the show. Charlie, can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. So I'm co-founder of an innovative app studio called Styliff Tech. We build premium apps for Fortune 500 companies like Lidl and the Reinsurance Group of America, British American Tobacco, all the way through to a really cool ecosystem of high potential startups. And we use the profits of the studio to fund our own in-house ventures that have taken us to Silicon Valley and beyond.
You are achieving incredible things within your company, and you've worked with such big brands. Can you share who are your customers? Who are your typical clients?
Sure. So we have a few different types of clients that we work with. A lot of the clients that we work with are founders of startups that don't necessarily have a technical background. So they have a great business idea, but they don't have the expertise to bring it to life. So we sort of come in and act as their technical partner or their CTO, if you like, and help bring that vision to life so that they can go on and get funding and really kickstart their business on the right foot. Like you said, we also work with major corporations, and we kind of have a different relationship with them. We act more like an innovation concept partner. So we come in and work with them to provide a new angle for their digital products to improve their offering for their customers. The last thing that we do is we also collaborate with lots of incubators and accelerators and act as the technical partner for their cohort, essentially. So if they need an app designed for their demo day, or they need an MVP that's ready for all the investors that are waiting for them after this incubator or accelerator, then we work with them to produce the very first version of their app so that they can show the investors what this thing's going to do going forwards.
I mean, apps are all over everywhere at the moment, aren't they, Charlie? I mean, so much money can be made in apps as well. I myself spend an absolute fortune in apps. It must feel really rewarding, satisfying your customers and giving them their dream apps that they're really looking to build their great futures with.
I think apps are an amazing thing, right? It's different than selling anything else really in the world, because if somebody's coming to you to build an app, they're essentially asking you they're investing their future in you. You know, they're asking you to build the thing that is going to change the trajectory of their future. So you're working with people all day, every day, who have the most intense source of motivation, and that is completely infectious. It's honestly the favorite thing about my job is just working with people that are living and breathing the journey of trying to change their life in the pursuit of absolute freedom, you know.
And I can hear the enthusiasm that you have for your work, Charlie. Do you recall a specific aha moment that led to the launch of your business?
In a funny way, I do. Before we set up the studio, we were a one venture company. So we had our own concept, our own venture, which, like many young entrepreneurs, was a really bumpy ride. We started off building this fashion product where we wanted to make returns less of an issue for online retail. So we tried to build this fitting recommendation system for online retail, which ended up being extremely difficult because all sorts of different clothes fit different people in a different way. But what we did is we took a pivot into uniforms, right? Helping huge companies like Lidl get their hundreds of thousands of staff in uniform more efficiently. And that was much more doable because the uniforms were standardized. And this product took us to Silicon Valley on the ABC accelerator program. And that was really where we had our aha moment. I was at a networking event, and I was maybe 22, 23 at the time, something like that. And I was telling this guy about our product. We were working with Lidl, who were the biggest retailer in Europe, and we were in Silicon Valley. I thought we were doing great. And as I'm talking to him about the product that we had, he just started laughing in my face, and I was offended initially. I was so this guy's so rude. How dare he laugh at me? I'm out here trying to make it happen. And he took a sip of his water or cup of tea, whatever he was drinking, and he said, "You have no idea what you have. You have absolutely no idea." And I said, "Well, if you've got something I don't know, then tell me." And he said, "You're collecting health data." And that moment right there changed all of our lives, essentially. It was a shift away from, okay, we can help you put lots of staff in uniform better, to I can help you understand the health risk of your workforce. And man, I walked home so quick after that networking event. I called the rest of the team. I was like, guys, I have an angle. We need to really dive into this. And for the next 3 or 4 days, we were just diving into Google to figure out if something like this existed already. And every journal you read might be the one that ends your dream. It was a really intense week. And we did a whole bunch of research, and there was nothing like this out there. And that was the birth of our clothing to health risk concept that went on to win global innovation awards in insurance. We're working with the Reinsurance Group of America, who are one of the biggest players in the space. And really the success of that product and the lessons we learned during that process gave us the foundations to set up Styliff Tech, the studio, where we could collaborate with a limited number of companies every year as a way of funding our own in-house stuff, so that we could build what we want, when we want. We weren't restricted by this runway that had been such a problem for us for such a long time. We didn't have to raise to build a product. We could all do it using the profits of the studio. And that has gone from, a 5-man team all the way through to where we are today, almost 30 people strong, and in multiple continents across the world.
That's a great achievement, and it's great actually hearing your journey and connecting all the dots of all the challenges, all the things that the obstacles that you've had to overcome to get where you are today. What really motivates you to jump out of bed every morning?
That's a really interesting question. I think before my entrepreneurial journey, I used to be a tennis player. I ended up playing sort of low-level professional tennis, which is a lot less glamorous than it sounds. But you train your whole life to get to that point. And I think with tennis in particular, if you go to any under 12s, under 14s tournament, you will see kids going through really extreme emotional distress and emotional elation, all in a fleeting moment. In the same 5 minutes, you'll experience both of these extremes, whether you're breaking serve and your just soul is erupting on the court, or maybe you get a bad line call, or you make mistakes and you just want to smash your racket on the ground. I spent my entire life bouncing between these extremes, and I got used to living within a reality that was dictated by being stimulated by these extremes. And when I went into a 9 to 5 after my career was over, those extremes weren't there for me anymore. And I found it very difficult to get myself to that same level of motivation that I was used to. Stepping into the entrepreneurial scene, those extremes still exist, but just in a different form. You know, it's not as immediate as, is the ball in, is the ball out? Did I win or did I lose the match? But the extremes of, if this whole thing plays out, there is unimaginable freedom waiting for me. And on the flip side of that coin, if it doesn't work out and the whole thing falls apart, I lose the entire essence of my identity. You know, this is everything that I've built my purpose around. You know, it gets me stimulated every moment of every day. And if it fell apart, I would lose myself. So having those extremes that are the direct actions of my reflections and my performance within the company and the company as a whole, they are what motivate me on a daily basis to really get down, get dirty, and do what it takes to make it happen.
Great answer, Charlie. I could relate to so much of that, especially the part about entrepreneurship extremes. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster sometimes with the ups and the downs.
I know.
I wouldn't have it any other way. There's nothing better than focusing on your own dreams and goals and making them come to life. There's nothing more satisfying than that. Can you share? It certainly is. There's nothing better than having dreams and goals, and with what you're doing as well is amazing. You've got a great team of people around you. So that actually brings me to a great question. You've built an incredible team over the last 18 months. Can you share how you went about attracting such great talent into your team?
Sure. I think with our team, we have everything from high-end designers to machine learning specialists, front and back-end development, AI, pretty much everything under the sun. And it's very difficult to attract top tech talent because everybody is after them, right? Whether you're Facebook or you're a really up-and-coming startup, you want the best talent out there. And we had to become very innovative as to how we recruit this special talent to produce special products that we built our brand upon. And the way we did it is when we came back from Silicon Valley, we split the team into two parts. My founder, who's our technical genius, is from Slovenia, and so went back to Slovenia. And me and my co-founder came back to London. Now, Slovenia is relevant because about 10 years ago, the Slovenian government went all in on tech as their way of boosting the GDP of the country. They're located right between Italy and Croatia. It's beautiful there. And they don't have a lot of natural resources and stuff like that. So tech was the way they were going to make this thing happen. So if you're studying anything from an undergraduate degree to your 5th PhD in tech in Slovenia, you have no tax on your income, subsidized housing, and subsidized food. So people come from all over Europe to study tech in Slovenia because you literally live like a king. Now, every year, good. It sounds great. I've never seen a capital city like it, Ljubljana. It's completely run by late 20s, early 30s techies. They have the penthouse suites. They're in the best restaurants, the best bars. They run the show. And every year, there's an Olympic Games of tech between all the universities in the country. You can think front and back end development, design, motion design, AI, everything you can imagine. We are the headline sponsors of the Olympic Games. So the winner of every category comes to do a 3-month internship with us, and then we hire the ones that we like. So this gives us an amazing foundation of talented seeds that we can work with, that we then have a very experienced management team nurturing these seeds as they grow and develop. And that's really been the foundation for us in building a team that's winning innovation awards across the board.
I just think it's incredible what you're achieving. You should be so proud of the achievements. I mean, these are big big successes, Charlie.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What sets your business apart, and what unique need are you filling for your customers?
I think our biggest differentiator is that we are entrepreneurs ourselves, right? We're not a traditional tech development shop where people come to you and you build the product and you leave them alone. Because we're launching our own stuff, we're living the same truth as these founders and entrepreneurs that we're collaborating with. You know, these founders are selling the house to make this happen, you know, borrowing money from friends and family, digging into savings they send their kids to school with to make this thing a reality. And I think having a really unique appreciation and understanding of that shapes the entire way that we look at the relationship and how we work in a very collaborative way to try and bring your dream to life rather than just us going away and building something, you know. At the same time, because we're entrepreneurs, we've established a very high-end network by this point in time. We've been doing this since 2015. We have everything from a network of investors to marketing specialists, should you need it. You know, we work with the CMO of Call of Duty in the UK, you know, and he comes and collaborates with some of the founders that we work with. And because of that, we're able to provide an ecosystem of support that's way beyond just building you a beautiful app. You know, it's in our interests and your interests that you're successful, whether that's raising money or the app starts to generate revenue, because it makes our portfolio look great if the apps that we're building are doing well. But if you're successful, you eventually come back and do more work with us, you know. So we're highly motivated and incentivized to make you a success on every level. And we have many more tools than the vast majority of agencies do as a way of making that happen, not just high-end development.
You have made some great points there, Charlie. I'm very big on collaboration. I always say a world of collaboration and not competition. Everybody thrives. And you also mentioned people investing these big amounts of money in apps and selling their homes. That's a lot of pressure, isn't it? So you have got to deliver great work because you know what they're investing in this app and in their dreams.
Absolutely. And I think the unique position that I'm in is that I'm investing my future in the same people in building our in-house ventures that I'm asking people to invest their futures in. You know, it is that simple. I'm putting my money, if you put it that way, where my mouth is, because I am also investing my future in the same talent, you know. And I think that's where the synergies really lie. It's because I can show them where that talent has taken us and taken me. And it's about me saying, you know, let me help carve a similar path for you so that we can achieve, you know, real results together, and we can start to, you know, make dreams become a reality.
Can you share more detail on the kinds of apps that you offer?
Absolutely. So we do everything from the initial design of the app, and there's two sides to designing. You have the UI, which is basically all the key bits of the app, so what you see and stuff like that. And then you have the UX, which is the journey that the user goes through, all the different screens that the user will go through throughout the course of the app. Now, it's absolutely essential that an app is easy to use. The best apps in the world are intuitive. Think about Spotify. You don't have to have an instruction manual to understand how Spotify works. It kind of tells you by itself. You know, that is an absolutely world-class example of great UX, and that's what we're all about. You know, it's about building things that are extremely simple to use and beautiful to look at. We do everything from the front and back end development. We have very sophisticated AI that we build. And then for startups as well, if you're a startup that is looking to get your first proper chunk of funding, but you don't have the money to build an MVP, which is your minimum viable product, what we can do is build almost like an interactive app experience. So it's not a real app, but it looks and kind of feels like an app. What it does is it shows investors, this is what your money is going to bring to life. This is what the vision that I'm creating, and this is the journey I want to take you on if you become a part of this business. And that is why we have great success in helping startups get funded, because we can create this for way, way, way cheaper than an app would cost. But it helps you get that first 50 grand, 100 grand to bring it to life. And they're really the two packages that we offer, the design for these young startups to want to get funding, and then the full-blown app for companies that are funded or for major corporations.
And that's actually quite great, Charlie, because you're opening it up to people who possibly would never be able to do it. So you're giving them that opportunity to make their dreams a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And also, some apps I could not live without. I mean, just to name one, Fiverr, with all the freelancers. I spend so much money on that account every single month to outsource all of the jobs. If I could design an app like that, that would make me really, really happy. So maybe one day you can help me with that.
Yeah, we can have a chat about it, no problem.
Now, I would imagine you have all sorts of client success stories. What is one that really stands out?
We have different types of success stories. I can't talk in great detail about a lot of them because it's other people's intellectual property. So, but what I can say is that one of my favorite apps that we're working on at the moment is a medical app. It's a med tech app. I can't tell you the name, but it's essentially a voice-activated AI chatbot where you speak symptoms into your phone and it gives you an accurate diagnosis. So if I have a sore throat and a snotty nose, whatever it might be, it can then provide me with an accurate diagnosis. Now, for the NHS, this is fab because it's taking some of the weight off the NHS. Doctors that have very routine visits no longer have to deal with those clients who come in and essentially waste time. But in Africa, what this app I think can do in Africa could have an absolutely game-changing effect on the way that people access medical diagnosis and medical information. So that's something that I absolutely cannot wait to hit the market. And for bigger companies, the type of stuff we do with British American Tobacco, for example, is that we're trying to take the demon away from smoking. We're trying to help people transition onto vapes rather than smoking cigarettes, and then monitor their nicotine intake and help them actually go through the journey of taking themselves out of the smoking environment, which I think has a lot of positive messages across the board, but also for British American Tobacco really helps rejuvenate and revive the way that their products are experienced by their customers.
So every day your job must be so exciting because everything seems so different. Each project you're working on brings a whole new lot of excitement, and I'm big on vaping as well. I much prefer people that vape to smoke. Now, how do clients typically hear about you, and are there certain life moments that usually lead to them seeking you out?
Well, I mentor for a lot of incubators and accelerators. So what that does is it gives us great exposure to founders that are really interested in getting something going. Their ideas being validated in a way because they've been accepted onto these accelerators and incubators. A great example would be the Founders Institute. So the Founders Institute is the world's biggest pre-seed accelerator. So it's founders that haven't raised much money at all, if any, at that point, but they think your idea is great and they help you through the journey to get investment ready. So I come in and talk to them about, how to make an idea valid within a commercial market, and then we help a lot of them bring that vision to life. Same thing with Founders of the Future, which is an entrepreneurial community for top tech talent in London and Europe. Referrals are also a big part of this game. I think when you launch successful apps in different sectors, whether it's med tech or whether it's fashion or health and wellness, you start to build a reputation of delivering great stuff in that sector. Work just seems to come your way after that. So I would say to any company providing a service, make sure that you really execute at a high level and work will find its way to you.
Great words of wisdom, Charlie, and there's nothing like good old-fashioned referral and word of mouth. I agree totally, because then it's coming from the work that you've done, knowing that you are providing a good service to your clients. With you being such an active mentor, what piece of advice would you give to someone considering starting a company?
I have two main bits of advice that I offer for startups looking to get things on the move. The first one is that it's very easy to get excited about your idea. It's come to you, you're starting to flesh it out, and you think that this is the thing that's going to change the game of whatever sector that you're in. And you run to your personal network, which is usually how people get their first sort of wave of funding. And you go and pitch to everybody that will possibly give you a coffee, and then before you know it, you've burnt through your entire personal network, which is a really bad position to be in. What you should do is go and have a couple of coffees first, because you're going to get asked hard questions that you don't know the answer to, that you haven't thought about yet. Go home, reflect on it, figure out the answers to those questions, and then have a couple more coffees. You should save the big dogs, maybe the people even that come to your mind first. You should save them until last, because you want to be in the best possible position when you go into those meetings to secure funding or even to secure guidance. The second bit of advice that I would usually say is that throughout your entire life, really, until the point you've decided to go out on your own and start your startup, you've had a very strong guiding hand, right? Whether it's education, where you're told what to do in school, or you go into a job and you have a boss and they tell you what to do. All of a sudden, you're on your own. And what you have to do is become extremely reflective in a very short space of time, very analytical about, am I doing the right things? Am I being effective in being able to talk to customers or talk to people about the product? Is the product good enough? Like really harsh analysis of, is it good enough? Because I can almost guarantee you the first version of the product will not be good enough. And you have to be critical, you have to be reflective, but in a way that isn't disheartening to the point where you don't feel like you can keep going. It's a real balance. You see it with athletes a lot, where they travel the world competing, and a lot of athletes can't afford to have a coach travel with them all the time. So you have to reflect on your performance, make some adjustments, and then go onto the court feeling confident, ready to perform again. It's a very similar thing with your startup and your entrepreneurial journey. You have to be extremely reflective, but still have the confidence to sit down and believe in the product and believe in the vision that you're putting on the table when you're talking to anybody about your business.
Charlie, you speak a lot of sense. I don't think that advice is only for business. I think we could use that in our personal lives. And I've learned a lot from our conversation today. Thank you so much for sharing your business knowledge and your journey on the Brilliance Business Show. Before we finish the conversation, how can people connect with you, Charlie? How can people get involved in your company and reach out if they're interested in working with you or looking into your apps?
Sure. Well, the best place to check out some of our stuff is on our website, which is www.styliff, that's styliff.com. If you fancy a chat, feel free to reach out. My email address is charlie.regis, that's REGIS @styliff.com. And I'd be happy to have a chat about your idea, about your product, how we can bring it to life, even if it's just a strategy call about, here's where I think you should potentially look at positioning this within the market. I'm always up for a chat.
Thank you so much for being on the Brilliance Business Show, Charlie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Mark, this was fab. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
You have been listening to the Brilliance Business Show. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Conversations with leading experts in business. Until next time, goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.